me, so I should have died on the way to the hospital. There's a freak snowstorm. There was no snow prior. They should have had it incubated. They didn't have that, so I'm holding him. I've got this. I'm on the phone to my boss saying, I'm not going to make it in a couple of hours to our board meeting. And he's like, why? I'm like, I just delivered my baby.
I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck, and we are
Gold diggers.
It's not what you're thinking.
And we dig the gold out of everyday life stories.
Like today's guest.
Hi, I'm Ruth Shelling, and my goal in life is to always inspire people to become the best versions of themselves.
Honey, you're my sugar.
We've got Ruth Shelling on the show with us today. But before we go to Ruth, I'm going to throw to Angela for one of our goofy questions.
Goofy question. The goofy question of the day is that if you were a famous person, would you be Marilyn Monroe, Sandra Bullock, or Margaret Thatcher?
Oh, can I be all three? Because I feel like my personality is like layer upon layer, like many people, right? And I would be the sass and the fun of Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
I would hope that I would be inspirational and impactful like Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
And then Sandra Bullock, she's just an amazing actress. And, you know, she's just fun. So
she's the one everybody loves.
Yeah.
Everyone falls in love with Sandra Bullock, don't they?
Yeah.
That's a really good question and a really good answer.
It is. It's a good. So I have a little piece from all of them. And
I was trying to think of a comedian as well, like a comic role as well. That would have been good.
Sandra Bullock can be funny.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, she can be funny. And she embraces who she is. I love that.
Yeah, she's a little bit of your doppelganger, isn't she?
Yeah, I always pick Sandra Bullock. Like, I always think if someone was going to represent me in a movie, I'd want it to be Sandra Bullock.
Okay, I like
So we'll ask that question then. Who would it be? Who would you want to represent you in a movie?
Oh, my goodness. All right, this is crazy, but my daughter, because she's literally, she's like the same. She's kind of half my husband and half me.
Yeah.
She gets all the annoying parts from my husband. No, she's not annoying. Can't say that about my daughter. You're awesome. I love you. But she just gets me, and just even the way she thinks entrepreneurial, and she's very strategic. And recently she has been begging us for a puppy. Actually, not recently. It's probably been 7 years, and she's finally worn us down. The PowerPoint presentations were getting more intense. The reports, I need everybody to stop in the family. We're having a family conference, and she sits down and she shows us why we need a puppy in our lives.
Yeah.
And we then proceed to say why we don't need a puppy.
So she's done a whole presentation.
Numerous.
I prayed for my mum to have another baby for 8 years, and she did.
Oh, well, don't tell my daughter that, because I want to be having another baby.
It was a surprise.
The puppy. So anyway, we saw this puppy, and I said, we're going to go look. We're planning. We are not buying this puppy. This is her entrepreneurial mind.
Yeah.
Mummy, let's just go look. I understand. We'll plan. Anyway, so we ended up 9.
Yeah.
So we ended up purchasing the puppy so much that we weren't even prepared. You know, we had nothing. We had this puppy on my lap, and we had to then rush out and get all the stuff that you get for a puppy. That was 2 weeks ago. So yes, I would want my daughter to play me in a movie, because
she's done really
You're
well.
in that crazy puppy mode right
I
now.
am now
then.
in the, yes, my husband is at home.
How's your
with the baby.
furniture, your shoes?
Hiding your shoes, yeah.
My shoes are in a closet, labelled with the doors closed so it can't get in.
Yeah.
So,
And what did you go for?
A little toy cavoodle.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. She wanted a little kind of puppy.
We've got a few cavoodles. They're the best dogs.
They are good dogs, aren't they?
So
fun.
are you then seeing yourself in your daughter? What were you like as a child? Was similar?
Oh, I think so. I think passionate, I'll say, happy, mad or sad, right?
Yeah.
Lots of passion. It's funny. Children just bring out this incredible mirror, all this incredibleness in parents, right? So, you know, you see the parts, and my family used to say, "Oh, for goodness sakes, Ruth, stop being so dramatic. Oh, for goodness sakes." And so I go
British. Are they British?
No, the Queen's English. We say,
don't be so dramatic.
That's how
my
Australians
mum
be
speaks like
dramatic,
that because I was born in Adelaide, and we always say the Queen's English. So we say dance, arts, or plant. You know, and so it's so dramatic. And I hear myself go to say that to Olivia, and I'm like, oh, no, because it actually did crush me. And you don't realize it, the words and things that you say, because that was very much of who I was, and it is who I am, very dramatic, you know, and she's the same. So changed it in my mind because, sometimes you're trying to get out the door and there's lots of drama and all that kind of jazz. And so I change in my mind and then I say, I love your dramatics. I love your dramatics. It's amazing. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then it's just, so then it becomes a positive and it's not,
Yeah.
So, yes.
And then you were both dramatic together.
Correct.
So you were a dramatic child.
Yes. I was supposed to be an actress.
Yeah.
But
Were you? There you go.
I don't know. That's what everybody said. Yeah.
I could see you doing that,
Yeah,
actually.
so I always sang. I was always very musical, sang in church from the age of 5.
Yeah.
So then became a professional singer and sang in New York and all over the place.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
and Olivia does the same. She writes little songs and is on her piano and things like that.
So was singing became a career for you for a while?
Yeah, so I started in church. So my
Yeah.
dad was a minister.
Yeah.
He had the fun job of volunteering. So back in the days, back in the 70s and 80s, he was a pioneer pastor for the Assemblies of God. So that meant that we got to go to all over places and we would start a church.
Yes.
And he would work, my parents weren't career pastors as they call it. He would work
Yeah.
full time, start a church, get it to a certain number, around 150, 200, and then we would exit stage left. So we moved about every 2 years throughout all over Australia.
I know that feeling.
Yes. so it builds a lot of resilience. And so when that kind of happened and we, when you're a pastor's kid and you're starting a church, like you do everything. You clean the toilets, you do the projector, which you don't have projectors now in church.
That was my job. I used to do that.
Projector. You lead worship, all of these kinds of things. So I started singing in church and then we moved to the Sunshine Coast. I had kind of my formative teenage years here, which was fantastic. And I started singing lessons probably about 11, 12, realised that I could sing and started doing that and having a career as well. So when we moved to New York, I was like, right, I'm giving up my big corporate career. I was in magazines in Sydney. I was a director for luxury magazines there. And I thought, I'm giving it up and I'm going to go sing. My husband had got a promotion in New York. So I started. I had my first gig within 6 weeks, and which is great. And my band were, these session musicians. You get one shot in New York on the jazz and soul scene or any scene really. And my band were like, they played for Joan Jett and Enrique Iglesias and Queen. My bass player played for Queen. And, it was this incredible experience to mix the jazz and soul circuit, but with worship, which was also my heart, and to be able to do that. And then, so I was leading worship on Sundays, and then I was singing to 2 or 3 in the morning in the jazz and soul circuit.
That would have been amazing.
It was amazing. It was an incredible. My husband's also a musician, so it was an incredible experience. But also, I realized it doesn't pay very much.
Yeah,
didn't really pay for
the plight of creatives,
and also New York. And so, what I decided to do was start my own marketing agency in New York with no contacts or anything, and just get started and get back into marketing. And then I would sing. So I'd sing to 2 in the morning, and then I'd start my first appointment at 10. And so I kind of built my own firm over there, and then was white labeled into other companies and ran companies, and still have a company over in New York that I run. So
that's amazing.
So the best of both worlds. And now then children came along.
Yes. And interrupted everything.
And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And the children's story was crazy too. So I have severe endometriosis and had numerous operations and surgeries. And it took us about 12, we went on a 12-year journey. And, we had been married for a long time. We've been married 26 years in January. So a long time. And we lost, I remember when we lost the first, both children were born in New York, and we lost the first baby in New York, and it was, devastating. We had our church and friend community, but we didn't have our family there, and it was, absolutely devastating. And then
I'm assuming that's in gestation. You lost.
So the first one early, around 11 weeks.
Yeah.
But because I was high risk in America, they started scanning me really early. So I heard the heartbeat at 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So you get so connected, and the heartbeat, and then the second one, we lost a little girl almost halfway. So I had to go into labor, and they knocked me out, and all that kind of stuff. So that was every baby loss is devastating. It doesn't matter whether you know, because as soon as you become pregnant, you're like, oh, there's something different about me. You feel this life growing inside of you from early. Yeah. So for us, because I was high risk, I would have a scan up until like 22 weeks almost every week and hear the heartbeat and get connected. So that second loss really, really so Synchro and I were very much, he was like, that's it. I can't watch you go through this again. We can't do this. We're not doing it. We're happy together. I didn't marry you because of your baby producing skills. You didn't marry me for those reasons. So we had a real crisis to kind of overcome in our relationship because we had to decide then and there, is that it? Are we going to continue? The journey had already been long with my numerous operations for endometriosis and things like that, and other, health conditions. So we had to really come together. And so I was supposed to wait a year, which we did. And it was Father's Day, and it was Father's Day in June in America. So we went to the Bahamas, as you do. I said, let's go to the Bahamas. It's a year anniversary. It's Father's Day. I know it's really sad. And I had this conversation with him, and I said, I think we should try again. And we can do this. Whatever happens will happen, and we will just journey through it together. And that's where the resilience came in. I've got courage to do this. Yeah. I'm not afraid to do this. And I had to own all that heartbreak, and I had to own those feelings. But I've been through a lot in my life where I have two choices. We can be bitter, or I can be better. Yeah. And I want to be the better version. Doesn't mean I ignore the pain, or I go through it. I'm like, all right, here's the pain. Let's go. Let's get through it. Let's own it. Let's embrace it, and let's get through the other side, because there is light through the other side. Yeah. And we came back and we became pregnant with Olivia.
Wow.
So but 7 weeks in, I started to miscarry. And I had never miscarried before. It was always through scans. They found the heartbeat had stopped. So I was like, what's happening? And I said to Sinclair when I first found out I was pregnant, I said, I'm carrying twins. And he said, how do you know? And I said, I just know. And I've always known things like that, like the sex of the baby. I've always been right.
I know. Have you had any fertility treatment or anything?
No fertility treatment, natural, which is also a huge miracle. Yeah. Because that was going to have to be the next kind of, step and phase. And so I started to miscarry, and anyway, when I went to the ER, and my pastor was there with me, and a few friends and my husband, and I was just sobbing, and I was like, God, please. I know there's a little girl here. I know that she's got a destiny, and please don't take her from me. I felt like Hannah, just God, begging God, like, I'll do anything. Yeah. And I'm getting emotional. And they did the scan, and they said, there's a heartbeat, but there's also a massive clot. And we think that's something else. Like So I put myself on bed rest, and I called, my obstetrician was away, and I called the doctor, the fill-in, and she said, oh, you're losing the baby. I've looked at your charts. She hadn't looked at the recent chart, but she'd looked at my history. You're losing the baby. Just get on with your life. It's too early. You're only 7.5 weeks. It's not going to survive. And I remember just holding my belly, and I said, little girl, I'm fighting out here for your survival. You need to fight. You will live, Olivia. You will live. And I just was like, oh, you will live. Anyway, I ended up emailing my obstetrician saying, listen, I don't think it's fair that she just dismissed me. She came back from holidays. She scanned me. She said it was a twin. Whatever you did, because I put myself in bed rest all weekend, I just researched and did what I thought. Whatever you did, this one's surviving. So obviously it's too early to know. And then we went through this journey where I was on modified bed rest for Olivia. And then with William, Olivia was born 3 weeks early. And then with William, he was like a complete surprise. We were like completely shocked at, I actually thought something was wrong with me. I was really tired. So I thought, I'll just get a test. I'm, not pregnant. Anyway, I was, and the pregnancy with him was quite amazing. I was even allowed to travel. I wasn't on bed rest. I was allowed to work. all of those. Even with Olivia, I still work just from bed. But then he was born on the couch. Do you want to hear that crazy story?
Yes, definitely.
A couch birth. Tell us.
I just can't, right? You're like, what? So again, high risk. So scanning a lot. And I knew he was a boy. And then we found out he was a boy. And I was working really big hours. So I'm a managing director of a company in New York. Still to this day, I just do it remote. And I was working huge hours, and I was 5 weeks early. It was Easter weekend or spring break in America, and none of our friends were around to look after my 3-year-old. So I said, I can't have this. But I was having what I thought was Braxton Hicks. And as we know what they are. And I was just in complete denial. And in hindsight, it's a great thing, right? You go back in your mind, you're like, I was scrubbing the bathrooms, I was cooking up a storm, and I don't cook, my husband cooks. So
It was around your due date,
no,
was it?
5 weeks early.
Oh, right.
So I was like,
and you would think, Braxton Hicks at 5 weeks.
Hicks, I'm like, cooking up a storm, even though I don't cook, I'm doing all the things.
You're nesting.
I was nesting.
You were nesting.
And then I woke up and I thought I couldn't sleep, and I was addicted to Milo, almond milk Milos.
good.
I didn't drink Milo. I just couldn't. My friends were sending it to me because in America they don't have the right one. Anyway, it was weird. So I would have this Milo. I was like, oh no, this is getting stronger. And I went to my husband and he's like, I'm going to time them. He said, honey, they're 5 minutes apart. I said, well, I need to have a shower and straighten my hair. Like, I look a mess. I can't have this baby
people
now.
are going to take photos of me after the birth, I need to look good.
I am not having this baby. We cannot. I'm not even ready. 5 weeks. I haven't even packed the bag. What do we do with Olivia? So I'm having these contractions. I'm packing snacks for her. She's still asleep. I'm going to have a shower. So I hop in the shower. Well, that was silly because what does that do? It speeds it up. So I'm in the shower and I'm like, I'll do the sound effects for you. Oh my goodness. And my daughter comes up, Mama, what happening? I'm having the baby. Get daddy. And he goes, I'm calling the doctor. They're saying just go to the nearest. I'm not going to the nearest hospital. I want to go to my hospital. Pack the car. And we lived in a townhouse. We had really steep stairs.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's downstairs. I get out of the shower, he's downstairs, and I then start crowning. And I'm in the bathroom by myself, screaming the whole neighborhood down. He comes running up, what? I said, call 911. Yes, I had that movie moment. Dramatic, I know. Call 911. He's here.
Triple O for Australia.
Triple O in Australia. And he goes, are you sure? I'm like, yes, hurry. Anyway, so he runs down the stairs and leaves me at the top of the stairs because in his mind, I need to open all the doors so they don't smash the doors down. I need to let the ambulance in, blah, blah, blah. So
meanwhile,
I'm at the top of the stairs with a baby there. And
Wow.
it was only, honestly, by the grace of God, I was holding on. God help me, contracting all the way down.
oh, gee.
My daughter's standing, I'll never forget it. My daughter's standing there. I'm over the couch. 911's on there. I can't hear them. Turn them up. I'm okay, honey. Mummy's fine. Oh, my goodness. Mummy's fine. She's crying. I'm like, it's okay. We're having the baby. It's okay. I'm freaking out because I'm high risk. This
Are you
shouldn't
just
have
in a
happened.
towel?
No, I was in clothes.
Oh, you were?
I was in my clothes, thankfully, because you would have. Anyway, too
That's
much.
where my
it's a
mind was
podcast.
going. Like,
No, I was in.
how was your hair?
I was in Lululemon, terrible, in a messy bun, no makeup, Lululemon, like whatever you call them,
Yeah.
Pants.
yoga pants,
Yep.
terrible top. Anyway, so I get there and 911, the guys on 911 said, get her on the couch. So my husband, there's no pillow, there's no time for that. He literally throws me on the couch. I'm like, I don't want to deliver like this, but it was too late. And because I'm a professional singer and I'm trained, I know how to breathe. And they always say singers and swimmers are the best pushers.
Yeah,
So I was in so much pain. I thought this baby is coming out right now.
And you could scream in tune. Oh,
I did. That's very good, Ben. Very good. I'm actually impressed with that. Very nice. And I one almighty push. Sinclair said, I literally held my breath. He said it felt like for 5 minutes you just push with all your might.
Yeah.
Anyway, he flung out, as you do, and we wanted to call him Flash because he was slippery and all that kind of stuff. And my daughter's like, oh my gosh, poor thing is traumatized at 3. So the weirdest part of the story, or not the weirdest, it's another miracle. So that was a miracle, right?
Yeah.
High risk, have him. And then I was like, in America, all the first responders come in. So I had 2 burly police officers, 2 burly fire officers, fire brigade, and 2 ambulance officers.
What do you need a fire officer for?
They're like first responders, child. Like they all know how to apparently deliver a baby. They had no idea what they were doing. They're like, oh, you've had the baby. Oh my gosh.
So out of the 6 of you, who's going
to help? And they just hadn't. They were like freaking out. So anyway, they cut the umbilical cord and clamped it. Right,
Yeah.
Clamped William.
Yeah.
Did not clamp
Hang on,
me.
was that the fireman, the policeman? or
I
the
can't even
ambulance?
remember at this stage. I said to them in my haze,
Sounds like a joke. Yeah.
I was like, which one?
Englishman,
They're probably
Irishman,
all like,
Scotsman.
right.
please.
they're probably like, what's happening? And I said to them, oh, okay, so I'm gonna go have a shower now. And they said, no, you know what? You're gonna go to hospital. You just delivered a baby. Anyway, I walked from here to probably the door there, and hopped on the stretcher, held William in my arms, crazy, and they had not knowing they hadn't clamped me, so I should have died on the way to the hospital.
Wow.
There's a freak snowstorm. There was no snow prior. Freak snowstorm. We're sliding all over. They didn't even have him. Like they should have had an incubator. They didn't have that. So I'm holding him. I've got this. I'm on the phone to my boss saying, I'm not going to make it in a couple of hours to our board meeting. And he's like, why? I'm like, I just delivered my baby.
And he's 5 weeks early.
Like, what? I'm like, yep, 7 pounds, by the way. Or
Wow.
almost
Wow.
7 pounds. Yeah, he was going
5
to be
weeks early.
He was
That's
going to
amazing.
be huge. He was
Yeah.
going to be. They said he was going to be
Either
10
that or they
pounder.
got your dates wrong.
No, so because yes, you would think that, but because I was scanned from like 7 weeks every week, the size, it was all right.
Wow.
So the obstetricians had that fight, and I was like, oh, I feel that I'm back in that scene. So then the obstetrician, who wasn't mine, he's fighting it out with the ambulance guy. They're having this big fight and everything like that because they hadn't clamped me. He comes in and he's very mad. I said, oh, is there something wrong? I'm feeling on cloud 9. I've just done this. I'm powerful. Look what I've done. Like, amazing. It's a miracle. And he said, you should have died. That was a 22-minute trip to the hospital, and I still had the placenta that I had to deliver, and I should have died.
Wow.
And I said, oh, I didn't know that. So he goes, you should have hemorrhaged. They have not, like, this hasn't been done. Like, they were supposed to clamp
Wow.
you. You would have retracted.
With all those first responders.
None of them
Wow.
missed. And so there was just, it was just like every single step of the way was just a miracle.
Yeah.
And I could have been in a panic mode had I known that, but I didn't know. I was just like, I just felt really peaceful and calm and elated that I had just delivered safely. The saddest part was he had to stay in the NICU because he was so early.
Yeah.
Only for an extra 2 days, but a night. And that was because he couldn't swallow.
Yeah.
Because it was too early. He couldn't get that down pat. So they had to do all the testing. But so then my obstetrician and this obstetrician, like, you must have got the dates wrong. So they're pulling out the charts.
Yeah.
Going, no, she's high risk. I've been scanning her. Look at these dates. So that was good too, because then we could say, look at the miracle of what's happened.
Amazing, isn't
Anyway.
it?
So you got these 2 beautiful children.
Yeah, 3
now.
in heaven and 2 here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit then about the work that you do, because you talk about the fact that you're a CEO of a company that's in New York, but yet you live in Australia.
Yeah,
so
why
how does
am I
that work?
That's so crazy. So when I started my own business in America, I started working for another. So I had lots of different companies that I was white labeled in. And so I was white labeled in as their director of strategy. So I would do the big strategy, and then I'd be exit stage left, and I had my other clients. So prior to us probably having William, I started being more involved in this company and helping it scale. Yeah. And so basically the company is a digital marketing company in New York. We work with very high profile politicians, thought leaders. We have 2 kind of specific things that we do. Book publishing. So we take thought leaders like, I hope I can say this, but so we did Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Okay.
We didn't do her election. We did her book campaign. I was the lead strategist on her What Happened campaign. So we work with those sorts of, the Brené Browns of the world, the co-founder of
Love
Facebook.
Brené Brown's books.
Yeah, the co-founder of Facebook. So basically anyone who's a thought leader, we will take we take their ideas and we do the digital marketing strategy for them and disseminate them out and open them up to new audiences and things like that. So that's one arm. The other arm, we also do luxury hotels, which is very different to publishing, and kind of happened by mistake through one of our high profile event planners who we were doing his digital marketing for, opened up into like hospitality, liked what we were doing. So we're kind of in this weird place with the company where we're like, what is happening? We're like in book publishing and thought leadership, and then so it's great. I mean, so then just before COVID hit, we moved back. My husband got a promotion, so we moved to Brisbane. Never lived in Brisbane. We were in Sydney prior to New York, and he got a promotion. And so I said, listen, let's just give it a year and see if I can still. I had a baby. William was only 7 months. I was like, let's see if I can still
And
do
you're both
this.
Australian, aren't you?
He's New Zealander, but we still love him.
We'll allow him. Yes.
Except when it's around the rugby union, and we're not so sure. But anyway, so he got a promotion. We moved to Brisbane, and I thought, well, I'm up with the baby anyway. I'll just do it remote from 4 in the morning. Fast forward, COVID hits, and we got rid of our head office, and then everybody was remote, which was another like challenge. It's like, here we are scaling this business, working with super high profile people that expect the best of the best, and we're remote. And how do we stop the fear that was happening around COVID? Because there was a lot, particularly in New York and other places. So we had to deal with mental health issues of our staff. We had to deal with their well-being. Yeah. Meanwhile, we also, the worst part of COVID was, our clients, and I won't mention names, but, our clients weren't the best version of themselves because they're used to being waited on hand and foot because they're the CEOs and CFOs, and all of a sudden they're home with their children and they're trying to work and they can't juggle. And so then, they were the worst. Some of them were the worst versions of themselves. So we also had to deal with that and staff turnover and, all of that kind of stuff. So we worked through that, and now we've really developed a really great company where, we care more for the people than what they can do for us. And that comes out in the work that we do. And now we get to really choose who we work with because there's a long list. So we don't have to say yes to all these projects. And I mean, it's, I work with a founder. I'm the managing director, so I run the company, and but he's the founder. He does all the business development and he brings the clients in. So he does that. And then I just get up at 4 a.m. So I've got to cross over with my clients and my team. And
that's obviously the right time then in
It's a
New
great
York.
time for them. I've done that for 6 years and it's a little tiring. I get over to New York when I can. But I've just worked out I'm highly organized. So I've worked out how to kind of connect in at the right times. And, it's not easy a day ahead. So you're constantly thinking, oh, I'm a day ahead. I've got to have this done for them for when they wake up and, all of that. So
talk through what a day is like. Say I'm a high profile politician and I'm your client. So what services would you do for me?
Oh, amazing. So high profile politicians. So firstly, we would look at your brand.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? What are your goals and objectives? What do you want to do? What's the message that you're trying to get out to the world?
Yeah.
What's the ideas that you're trying to advance? So we take a look at what you're currently doing in the digital marketing space. Do you have so a lot of our clients, they are famous, but they don't have a digital marketing platform or presence.
Yeah.
They don't have social media. They don't have LinkedIn. They don't have a website. Well, we know that that's where marketing and everything it's already there, and now with AI that adds another complexity to it. So we do a brand audit. How are we going to match your goals to where we need where your audience is, and we package the message, whatever the marketing message is, so that your audience will hear it and they'll take it in. So so that's through email marketing. It could be through nurture campaigns, like building your audience so that you become a community. The biggest thing now with digital marketing, social media is social media, right? But it's a means to an end, and you do need it. And what people are looking for, it's particularly in this day and age, they want a community. They want to feel heard. They want a connection. Social media is no more about just throwing your ideas. It's actually you talking to a community of people and building an audience with them so they feel connected to you. So you're taking them behind the scenes and, helping them.
So say, obviously there was a lot of things on the political landscape in America just recently.
Goodness gracious, yes.
How does that work for an organisation working with somebody who maybe doesn't align with their political views?
It is challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, So, I mean, it's even challenging for me because I lived under certain people's regimes, right? And so I know I can package, this microphone to you and you have different beliefs to you maybe or to someone else. I can package the message so you hear it or you hear it or whatever. And that's sadly what has happened in Australia, right? Unless you live under the regime of particular political heads, whoever they may be, you don't get the full story because you're not there experiencing it firsthand. So the challenge for me, it is challenging, particularly for my team because majority are in New York. So the challenge is, I understand because I lived there for almost a decade. So I have firsthand experience of what's happened. But politics is a mess over in America. I mean, it's really a mess anywhere if we want to get down to it. So I just encourage people to, and we do have varying different opinions, by the way, and people lose friendships, they lose families over it. So I say, listen, connection over correction, what your opinion is, and I lead from that front. So I have very strong opinions, but I'm not going to share them with my team. I'm going to build connection so that they can feel like they can speak to me about this. And, it is a bit of a mess over there right now. And one side feels, not heard and one side feels heard. But I say God has to be in every side, because there's Christians who believe in this side and there's Christians who believe in this side. So who's right and wrong?
So talk to us a bit about moving to New York. Obviously you're Australian. Do you love New York?
Oh, guys, it is literally knitted into the fabric of my being.
Yes.
I love it so much. But both my kids are born there, so it's going to be it. And
what is it you love about it? I've been to New York a few times and I thought, it's nice to visit. I could not live there.
Do you know what? Sesame Street's in New York.
Yeah. Do you know what I love? Maybe it's because of my personality. I love that lightning strikes more than once. And I know that, do you know what I mean by that analogy? It's like you can make a mistake and you can pick yourself back up, or you can launch a business and it's not quite right, but then you can pivot over here. There's so many opportunities. And the reason why is because every type A, everyone's like, what's it like? I'm like, it's like every type A personality has emerged on New York.
So if you're an introvert, would you still like it? Not so
Interesting, because my husband is an introvert.
Right.
And he doesn't like the crowds. It's hilarious. Like on the Sunshine Coast now that we're here. We lived here 20 years ago.
You kind of come to the opposite extreme.
We've come to the opposite, which I have to get out every couple of months because I need that, which you probably picked up.
Yes.
So my husband, he loves it too. There's something magical about New York. Yeah. I don't know. It's so hard to pinpoint. Like when you visit, it's different, but when you live there, there's like, particularly around crises or things that take place, like, Hurricane Sandy, we were there and friends were losing homes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And people come together in a way that you can't even imagine. But, they can be very isolating and selfish and, one track and get to the top of the game and things like that. But then when it comes to crisis, they all...
Yeah, because were you there during, at least at the start of COVID? Were you in New York?
No, we just left before, thankfully, because my husband worked for Flight Centre.
Right.
And so not ideal. So our visas were tied up with his management position there. So then they moved us back, and just before, thankfully, that's another little miracle. And then his entire team during COVID got furloughed or stood down for 9 months and then made redundant after 16 and a half years and traveling the world and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So this is home now? I mean,
I don't know. You can't say. You don't know, right? So, I mean, I love the school my kids go to. I love it's interesting coming back 20 years later into communities that you were part of prior and friendship groups as well, because obviously we've changed. All of us have evolved in our own kind of way, different filter systems. That's where I go back to the political thing, I've got a different filter system to my friend who's been here for 20 years or whatever. And that's fine. That's their experience. And I've got to love and cherish them for that. Is it home? I don't know. I think for me, yes, right now we are planted, but we have a life in New York, and the dream is to have a place there as well and travel back there frequently. I already do for work, but I typically take the kids and the family with us if I can.
Yeah.
But it'd be great to have a life there and a life here.
It's not an easy place to get to from here, though, is it really?
No, well, yes, they've changed it. Qantas now flies, Qantas, I had to think for a second, from Auckland, 17-hour flight direct.
To New York?
To New York.
Wow.
Game
That's
changer.
good to know. Yes.
I've done it twice now. It is amazing because Auckland Airport is beautiful.
Yep, been there.
It's so
Yeah.
easy. And then 17 hours, boom, you're at JFK or Newark.
So how does this all work? Family, like, sorry.
No, you're
We
right.
do have a question. Family, you're parenting your children, working in the early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
Still in a very high flung position,
How does it work? I don't know. When you work that out, come and tell me.
Yeah.
No, I think, listen, I feel blessed that I can do, I also have other things on the side as well that I do, like for business in Australia. So I think for me, I make sure that I'm there. I'm at every sports day, every awards. That is the beautiful thing about my job being remote, is that I can say, hey, I'm taking off to go to XYZ's award or whatever, the prep celebration tomorrow. I'm able to do that. I'm not stuck. Even though it's a high position and high stress, I make sure that, that's the first thing. I didn't have my children so that I can't be at all their things. They're really important. Yeah. Also, my clients know, so as much as, I'm good at what I do with my career, but my family is number one. Obviously God, then family. And so there's been times when my children need me and I'm in the middle, they're sick or having a tantrum or whatever else, and I've cancelled big client appointments. I'm so sorry. Now I may not tell them that my child's having a tantrum, but I juggle it in a way that they are number one.
Yes.
Also, my phone is down when I'm present with them.
Yeah.
So that's why I get up early and I sacrifice and have no sleep, all the dramas, so that I can be present after school, and do things with them and, be connected.
Very important keys that you've just said there for parenting when you're busy. You're a busy businesswoman and mother.
Trying.
What does life look like from here on in for you?
Oh, I love that question so much. I'm still trying to work it out, actually. Yeah. I've come to a position now where I've done a lot with I say short little life. I've done a lot, but for me, I just love people and I want to be around people, but for me, I need more time as well. The life is crazy now. We've got a puppy. What were we thinking? And so I think for me, I'm starting to build my own business, my own company, which is going to be very different to what I do in New York, but it's still going to be with high-profile clients. It's more going to be advising, so their team will take the advice that I give them and then they execute, so training them up. And, I really believe there's not enough female leaders in the world. We know that, right? So it's changing. This is not a man bashing, like whatever. It's not, because we need both. And we need both for the balance of power too. And I take that responsibility really seriously in everything that I do, as a leader of a company or even as a leader in any kind of capacity. You don't need to be called a leader to be a leader. And so for me, I want to make sure that the next generation is heard, but I also want to make sure that the generation now is heard. And that, because sometimes we can go, oh, it's all about the younger generation. Yes, that's very important, but it's also really important to have the 50 plus age group and hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
And they're often the forgotten, oh, you're 50 now, you're not seen as a woman. And I'm like, no,
There's an
absolutely not.
invisibility
warming up.
Yeah, we're just getting started. I feel the same. I'm like, I'm just getting started.
Yeah,
You're more confident.
Yeah.
When you get to your late 40s, you've got your children, you're more established.
Yes.
And so for me, as a leader, I take it seriously. I want to make sure people are finding their voice. I want to make sure they're finding the best version of themselves. And I don't just want to be, my success is seeing other people succeed as well. And that includes my children and building resilience. So that was a circle, because I'm still trying to work out what I want. What's next for me?
Yeah. Okay, well, one final question then would be, if you've got to the end of your life and say your kids were to explain their mother, when they're older and they're adults,
it's
what would
lovely.
you want them to say?
I mean, I actually asked them this question recently because my grandmother passed away, and I said, what would you want, And they were like, you're very loving and you give lots of good cuddles. And I was like, I am I'm nurturing. I would want them to say, Mum loved us. She showed us how to have resilience and strength of character. So for me, it's really important that I instill good character. So I say you can be talented and you can have all the gifts in the world, but if you do not have character to sustain those gifts, and kindness, I always instill in them, like, I want you to be kind. You can have the talents. I don't want your light to be hidden. Absolutely be all you are created to be.
Yeah.
But I also want you to make sure that you are kind in all of that and that you have good character, you have strength, you have resilience. And when life knocks you down, you take it and go, okay, I'm not ignoring the pain. I'm driving through it because I know there's going to be light at the end and I'm going to be a better version of myself once I get through that. That's what I'd like them to
Yeah,
learn.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great message to share. So I think we're ready for gold, and I'm going to throw to you, Beck.
We are, yes. Well, you are a fascinating person, Ruth. Like,
Don't know
you're
about
just
that.
like this strong, mighty force in the world.
Sweet, thank you.
But
That's
using
very
your
sweet of
powers
you.
for good, and your joy and your energy is contagious. Like, just sitting
thanks,
here
Beck.
listening to you, I'm just mesmerized by all the things that you've done and all the passion that you have for everything
kind,
you
thank
do.
you.
But I love most of all how important your family is to you and how important your faith is to you, and that is the driving force behind it all. And I think that is the path to success, isn't it? Having God and family is number one, and then anything else you do stems from that. And I just see that you would have burst into the world probably like your daughter did, with just this whole, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to take it on. And you really have, and I can't see you stopping anytime soon.
Oh, thanks, Meg. That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. And, I just love your passion for life. Like, it's just comes out of you and everything. And just the way you just exude joy. I think that is the greatest message that you're giving to your children. It doesn't matter whether times are hard or times are easy, you have it, or good. If you can maintain a level of joy throughout, then you're really teaching them resilience and strength and that. And I see you as someone that's really got your priorities in the right place.
Oh, thanks.
And maybe the struggle to have children has done that for you, because I think sometimes we can take that for granted. We can take their early stages for granted because, maybe it's come to us easily or unexpectedly, and we raise kids. But when you've really had to fight for things, you really know how to value them, and you've put them in the right place in your life, even though you've got this very kind of
Crazy
awesome career.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
And then the other thing that I notice about you is that you have the skills and the ability to build people's profiles. But I love how you do that for others and not for yourself.
Yes.
And there's great humility in that because, obviously that's your job to do that. You do that for others. But I can see you put your heart and soul in that as well.
Yeah.
And there's just, so that's to me is your gold. You're such a beautiful person to know, Ruth.
It's been great sitting here.
This has been so nice.
Aw.
Thank you.
Yeah. No,
So nice to have you on the show.
Thank you
tonight.
for having me. It's been lovely to talk to both of you, and what serendipitous moments that we've had.
yes.
Like,
Yes,
as well.
well, actually, we didn't talk about that.
No, how
because
we met.
Ruth and I know each other. I've met
Yes.
through a mutual friend. We've
Yes.
had coffee and that together.
And we met in the most unexpected way. because-
I was carrying a humankind bag
Yes.
from the fabulous new show that you're hosting.
And I have a bit of a retail job on the side of doing my publishing, and happened to be working one night when you stepped in.
Yes.
I actually didn't see your bag until later.
Oh, didn't you? We had a great conversation about perimenopause and, oh my goodness, can you believe the hot flushes that come and poor women and blah, 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 and all this sort of thing. Anyway, how deep do we go with there?
Oh, you
I was bra shopping, people, and I hate it. I hate bra shopping. Seriously.
And
who
Becky's
likes-
a bra fitter.
And she fits bras beautifully, which I won't point or show. You don't get to see today. And we had this beautiful conversation as I was doing a task that I absolutely hate. And then we realized that she's like, humankind, what is, as I was paying, we'd had this connection and she's like, humankind, blah, blah, were you there at the event? I said, yes, I know Anne. She goes, she's my best friend. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we had a very quick conversation because I had to pick my daughter up from ballet and I think my son from soccer
You said
or
something
something.
about the podcast and I said, well, I'm Beck, and that's Angela.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were back in it. Anyway, so
It was so
these,
funny.
I love those serendipitous
it's
moments.
amazing,
Yes.
wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, it was meant to be,
It's
and
meant
here
to
you
be.
are.
Thank you for
our
listening. I
Final
love it.
guest for 2024.
Wow. What's happening with you guys? What's 2025 going to bring? More
Watch
exciting.
this space.
There is some news there.
Wow.
Yes, there is.
There, see, I've turned it on to you.
It's up to Ange.
2025 is going to be a year of excitement and growth. I'll just leave it there. For you.
Yes, let's leave it.
Let's leave it there. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Ruth. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Thanks for listening to the Gold Diggers podcast.
If you want to be a guest or you want to reach out, you can do so on our website, thegolddiggers.com.au.
We also share behind the scenes footage and giveaways across our socials on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
We dig for gold every Wednesday, so subscribe and follow now so that you don't miss a story that could change your life.
Honey, you're my sugar.